Welcome to the Two Boots Word Vault podcast. This is a special episode. It's a recording of a poetry reading I did on May 9th, 1990, with my friend, the poet and publisher, Jim Dochniak. Jim published my first broadside, Men Don't Dance in America, in 1983. I didn't know him then, but Meridel LeSueur had heard me read my poem at an open reading and commanded that Jim publish Men Don't Dance in America. This 1990 reading took place at the bookstore owned by my friend Anthony Signorelli. Also, at Tony's Bookshop, Jim introduced me to Scott King, who eventually published 4 of my poetry collections. It was a very special reading.
You all to the Tim and Jim show tonight.
Yeah.
Live from Anthony's Bookshop, right? For those of you who don't know, I'm Anthony, and my wife Lynn is over here. We run the store. Tim Young has been a friend of mine for a couple years now, and Jim Dochniak I just met in about the last 6 months, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of their new poetry and some of their old poetry and things they have to say tonight. So, let you guys have the stage.
So we have to do a little homage.
Now that everyone's mellowed out, it's going to get very uptight. I decided to start this thing with 3 quotes. The first one, in my opinion, is the most forgettable quote of the past presidential election. And it's by Senator Joe Biden, who was a Democratic presidential candidate, and who, if you read the news, went through a brain tumor, almost died, and he recovered, and he's back in the Senate again. And this was part of his campaign speech in 1987. Our primary challenge is to end a decade of the got mine, get yours philosophy, and to restore our sense of community and common concern. Well, that's what he said in 87. And maybe that's why he got sick. Here's a quote from Bo Diddley. I think everybody knows Bo Diddley, right? The great blues musician. He said this in 1985. He said, "I want money. I don't want songs anymore. I'm not going to be 26 years old anymore." And here's one a friend just quoted to me last night, and this one's by D.H. Lawrence. And I don't know when he wrote this. It's from an essay. Lawrence says, "Professionalism comes at the end of a civilization." I don't think that was the well, history does repeat itself. So I've tried very hard to be terrifically unprofessional about this reading tonight. And where I'm going to start is at 12 years old. And This one's called They've Got Your Number. You call up a tobacco store, ask, do you have Prince Albert in a can? Yes. Then let him out. You say as you hang up laughing. You call any random phone number, ask, is your refrigerator running? Yes. Then go catch it. Another number, how many U.S. presidents are not buried in U.S. ground? If you answer this question correctly, it's worth 2 free tickets to the destination of your choice. I don't know. Too bad, you say. The answer is 5. Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, and Bush. You do this when your parents aren't home. You're 12 years old. In time, these games become more elaborate. You spend hours trying them out on unsuspecting strangers, howling for dollars, played only when the moon is full. Whole families gathered around their phone receivers, barking and whining like a pack of wolves for a year's worth of groceries. You tell them you're from a radio station. You tell them you can't tell them which one, that everything is being recorded and that they'll be called when it's aired. You tell them there are lots of other opportunities for prizes, cash, even a chance for early retirement from their miserable jobs. And they believe you. They tell you their dreams. Speak of things they could never afford. You've never had so much fun. Then, one day, a different voice comes over the receiver. I know what you're up to. This line is tapped. I've got your number. It's all over then. You know you can't hide. As the days go on, you tremble more each time the phone rings. You wait for the cars to pull up, for a man with a megaphone to say, we know you're in there. You're too afraid to make up lies when your parents ask why you seem depressed. It's nothing, you say. And you begin to clean your plate at each meal. Finish your homework. Clean your room. You know you are guilty. You discover silence. It is your small shadow growing larger under your feet that says, follow me. "12. That's about when I became a poet. Okay, here's a shadow talk. I don't know. Family violence is what this one is called. This one's for the ex-President Reagan. And I'll just read it. Baby's crying again. Been crying, screaming every day now because baby's hungry. Mama, she finally got a job part-time at the corner checkout. Bet she could do, but it just ain't enough. Just like welfare just ain't enough. Unemployed daddy's been less lucky. Ain't found a thing. Work used to give him strength. Now it's the bottle, and he drinks a lot. Daddy drinks a lot, and he wants peace. Daddy's stronger than baby, and he wants peace. Daddy hits baby once, twice, then baby shuts up. Peace through strength. That's what the president said. Peace through strength. And it was 1984, the year dollars became dimes. It was the year dollars became dimes, the year the sun came up crooked with a frown on its face because the banks broke the breadbasket and the home became hungry. It was the year food assassinated pocketbooks, the year tall buildings got fat, the year the poor became more naked and men were broken down into boys. The year jobs were arrested by criminals, the year women were afraid to give birth, the year children tongued the word mine, the year 4 minutes to midnight, the year the vote was unreal, the year they prayed to bombs, the year fear became religion. when friends could no longer talk, and language became an enemy, and information given a life sentence. The year with a price on its head, the year armies grew larger than songs, the year held hostage by the defense budget, the year they invented false answers for when they said peace through strength. The year of dynasty, the year of Rambo, the mercenary year, the year they wanted us to set aside for a better year of their making, the year only the wealthy could escape. It was the year that was less than a year, the year time was illegal, the year looking for a second job. It was the year homes owned their occupants, the year universal things had no connections, the year stories stopped telling, the year they said thought was a communist, the year they built the Great Wall in Washington, naming the wasted dead, the year my heart died in Grenada in the bombed-out mental institution. I was a student not needing or wishing to be rescued. The year celluloid won the old Vietnam War, and peace with honor became a new joke. The year truth was made to take a loyalty oath, and the statue went on strike when they dismantled her upraised arm, and Ellis Island began picketing for a rehearing of its millions of lost voices gone to lost streets paved in gold. The year made to live outside the law as food rotting in vaults, as education rusting in missile silos. It was the year dollars became dimes, not because of the Jupiter effect, not because the Russians were still supposed to be coming, but because a few saw the year as a commodity to be traded and sold and not given back until it was empty. And it was the year that survival became a form of resistance. The year would survive in spite its feeling like a penny waiting for change. That was 6 years ago I read this. Have things changed? Yeah. This one's called Art and Politics. And this one came about at about the same time. It's a kind of love poem. Tim and I talked a bit, and Tim was focusing on love poems for tonight, and I said, well, okay, love poems, I'll do politics, left brain, right brain. And then I thought, dueling love poems. But this is a kind of love poem. Here on the table, this poem I made for you last night. And last night when you read it, your eyes filled with water. So full of water, one of those moments when tears mean joy. Seeing you cry like that, my eyes cried too. And our eyes together made a kind of salty sea larger than ourselves. It was tenderness, so little of which we find on the news, or in the news our lives make without headlines. Your fingers touched my lips, saying, thank you, saying, be quiet. Then your lips followed your fingers, becoming an O our lips made into a kiss. The world disappeared into. Then the wonderful world. Now, today, that O has disappeared with your lips, leaving this poem and the table it's on. You've gone down to welfare, knowing what we both know. Poems are not bread. Words don't please the landlord. And today I'll sit at the jobs office, my lips forming another O around a cigarette, dreaming last night back, thinking it perhaps a dream and no more. And the smoke will rise out of me like my own confidence, disappearing into the world others seem to have made before our births. That world of poverty and property, possession, that world which turns tenderness into a dream and into hatred. Tonight you'll fill the table with food, and perhaps you'll forget this poem under a few brown bags. There is little room for sentimentality, romanticism, for art when it's cold outside and both of us need to eat. Okay. Here's another kind of love poem. Can't wait to. All right. This one's called Where in the World? You and me on Saturday night taking turns in the bathtub getting all sharped up to go out. Our nakedness and hot steam spreading all over the apartment. The scent of herbal shampoo and glycerin soap and fog all over the mirror above the sink, which I circle with my towel. There, you appear behind me, making up your eyes, your breath a soft spot, a meadow on my neck. It's winter. We can't afford the heat bill. It's cold, and just for now we move into the kitchen, turn the oven on to 500 with its door open. Just for now, stand together naked before it to dry. Where in the world did we plan to go? Tonight, each of us having saved a few dollars for a movie, for a dinner, for some private time for us to steal one another back from the world which all week long managed to steal so much of ourselves from ourselves. Where in the world did we plan to go? Right now like this. The towels we use to dry each other on the floor, nothing any longer in our hands except what they hold of each other and what they found of themselves in this sweet presence. Where in the world? Now, like this, with everything we've waited for, just for now within our reach, like these new beads of sweat forming liquid breath, tears of some joy we never possess often enough. Where in the world did we plan to go? But into this world which makes us forget what we've saved up for. This rare presence without clothes or money. Where in the world? But into love, into everything our tongues would rather taste than try to find language for here, right now, like this. And I'm going to end with this one. Short and sweet. It's called In This Order. My God, my country, my family. Yes, perhaps for the members of the 700 Club. Have you noticed how much Pat Robertson looks like Howdy Doody? Now this order. The people, the revolution, myself. All right. More or less, yeah. Second set.
Okay.
So you take a
We're gonna
2-hour break.
we're gonna go back and forth here. Just want to make sure he wasn't finished. Yeah. I'm gonna do some love poems. I don't think I've ever done a complete reading of love poems. I've only done a few here and there. The first half, or the first set of love poems, are those poems that I wrote about 10 years ago, when I had love projected up there and I wanted the goddess. So, but before I get to that, I got a poem for Jim that I wrote a few years ago after we had stayed up all night talking about poetry and mythology and women and life in general, drinking wine and talking books. We sat in his office, which looked like the upstairs there full of books. So, look, once again, we're happy and drunk. We're walking beneath this dawn's holy mackerel sky. We've already emptied those red clouds and turned them over like cups to dry. Tonight, we swim in the barrels.
Thanks, Tim.
Sleet. Sleet on her window wakes me. I am her snuffed candle. Her smells roll above me like contrails, abandoned. She soared without me. Sex. Your eyes, your sex in your heart, your steely observations are tines of a pitchfork that hold me to the barn door. My ears buzz and my feet dangle as I hang on wind-washed planks where nails had scraped my backside flesh. Your hips tease me with sugar. It's not the kind of love affair you want to be in. You make mistakes when you're chasing the wrong goddess. Dragonflies and an owl feather. Beside a stump, I found an owl feather. It may have been a hawk's feather, but once, last autumn, a great gray owl flew through my acreage. This is an owl's feather, and an owl feather is a charm. The leaves of the trees are youthfully green. Dragonflies lift like a cloud when I step onto bog grass. Dragonflies sputter and flee and stammer in return. Dragonflies and an owl feather. On old gray logs and grass beside the lake, I read poems to the breeze. A shy pope whomps across the lake. Robins and blackbirds skitter in the trees. A hummingbird hovers, then flees to a stand of scrub oak. The log is warm where I sit. The lake rolls gray from the east. Dragonflies and an owl feather. A disappearing hummingbird. That short caterpillar slinking on my knee. Some things move slowly, patient, persistent. They move through white flowers, through bent grass and rotted logs. Some things move quickly, blowing through my shirt, disappearing into trees, flying above the lake to nested eggs. Some things falter, like a love tale of tears and snickers. Some things ripple, a lake alive, a stretched tip shrunken again. Some things shiver, a sound of a blackbird, a finger on ice, a tongue on a tongue, a lip on a lip, a heart away from a heart. Blackberry bushes shiver in the wind. Sharp green oak leaves rattle and ripple. I'm lonesome. My woman is away, in body and intention. I shiver. My pen ripples. My grin falters. But I have my omens. Dragonflies and an owl feather. The hummingbird and caterpillar. I have my omens. The rainbow last June, its arc complete in the water as I bathe in cold, cold reflection. The dragonflies, the owl feather, the hummingbird, the caterpillar, the rainbow, the dragonflies, the feather, your feather, the dragonfly. My heart is desolate, like a tear on hot sand, soothed like sand in a very slow rain. This one's possession, which always follows the wrong choice. You come to me in the golden mane of this whimpering woman, and you twist in her belly with a monthly cramp when I've prepared myself for you. She may never understand why it's you who have usurped her flesh, and you who runs away from me. In the small drop of sweat gleaming at her rib, you smile, and I lick you sweetly, then roll you along my lip. The wonderful salt of your chemistry is distinctly yours, not hers, but you retreat again. I looked through the forest of her heavy gold hair to only find the fading prints of your running. Over her curving nape, you've left me your scent, and the tear I use to repay you, she misconstrues as pleasure born of her body. And this is the last poem in this set. It's If Aphrodite Kisses Paracelsus. With a name like that, you know this is off someplace. Sweet liquor from your mouth, liquor with lightning from a peach as I bite its skin. Quicksilver fire ripples off my tongue, down my throat, through the bramble of my chest, and into the love spot of my weakening body. You have silver eyes and regal darkness. When your words come as incense, and I watch you purposely dip your silk hem in wine, I must force myself back to the astrolabe and determine quickly my place on earth. You promise to give me secrets, and you're willing until I doubt you. And when I look over my shoulder, you steal my strength again, simply by standing still. You are a magnet stone, a pool of glacial water. You are the emptiness between the echoes of your own name. And I see that the kisses you give are but stars in the dark sky of your disinterest. You got some more, Ben? I got it.
Maybe we should just, can you guys handle like a couple more sets without a break here? You know, let's see, the smoking room is out the door, and the restroom is out back, way out back. Ooh, okay. This one, my second set is intentionally completely not put together. Here's a quote. I'll start again with a quote, and this is by the jazz musician Lester Young. He says, or he said, "I'm looking for something soft, soft eyes, There's got to be a sweetness, man. And if you know his music, he has that sweetness going right through his saxophone. This poem is called If. Great. If just one kiss could outlast the night, if the match could outlast the cigarette, if ashes were enough, if the silence between us didn't sometimes hold shadows, if speech made the present constant and clear, if I'd never heard the blues, if the smooth-talking stranger hadn't come to our table, hadn't given you his eyes, if my eyes hadn't shattered when you looked twice, if there weren't always stronger arms than mine, there's always another man, another woman, always a perfect touch just beyond the presence of hands, always a bribe, a dark sunspot of doubt, a second when the juice runs out of the cord, and sometimes I can't hold you, you who wants to be held. If my heart quit pumping fossils of lost kisses through my blood, if love erased need, erased want from the chromosomes of history, if history wasn't strange, if we were enough for each other, if never too much, if trust was as common as air, if power was a green blade of grass, if care took control of our hands and turned them forever out of control, if women had never been property, if men owned their feelings, if to feel was enough, if we'd never discovered the future, if discovery was desire shaped like an eye, if sight was enough, if I never had become a believer, if tonight in this small room lit with our talk, ambered by candles, now again with you, I had not come to believe the sweet, sweet words, I want you, we are naked, it can work. If I'd never known these wings, if economics was as simple as spring, if a pound of confidence wasn't worth its weight in gold, if rain could pay the rent, if money wasn't president, if they gave dignity away at the welfare office, if lives weren't measured in profits, if my dreams showed me a way through this death, there's always a world of pain and potential, always ambition and loss, always a second when the body fits the body perfectly and we forget heaven. If sometimes to survive I didn't resemble a fist, if arms had nothing to do with weapons, if to breathe was to meet ourselves at our lips, if we'd never exhaled the word peace, if differences mixed like flour, salt, and water, if there was always bread to break, if breaking meant opening a new day to feast upon, then I could come to you whole. Waitress. She lights up a cigarette and leans into the back seat of my taxi, trusting it will take from her shoulders and legs some of the weight from another 10-hour shift. And as I write down her destination, I see she trusts me too, to understand that all she wants now is time to unwind before she gets home. Saturday night, and I'm glad it's over, she sighs. Busy, no time to get off my feet. They're hot as the broiler. Only one drunk tonight who passed out in his food. Wasn't much trouble. Woke him up. Made sure he drank a lot of coffee. Looking back at her in my mirror, I notice she's younger than me. But this night, it's our, and the kind of work we do have made our ages the same. I've been on for 11 hours now, I tell her. My butt feels like a stack of old tires, slow for me, until the bar's closed. Had one drunk, a huge guy who passed out back there, retired cop, was so heavy when me and his wife and daughter hauled him into the house, we dropped him a couple of times on the sidewalk. I felt it more than he did. Got a good tip, but sometimes I don't know if it's worth it. She listens. We both laugh. She says it will be good to get home, smoke a joint, party a little with her old man. I see the porch light on when we pull up to her house. I stop, turn off the meter, hear her ask, do you mind taking change? My pockets are full. Tips. We both laugh. Then she says, I hope this is enough. And facing her, I say, yes, I trust you. Have a good night. Slowly leaving, I watch her walk up to her steps, close the door behind her, see the porch light go off. And as I pocket her silver coins, I see the full moon fading and the new blue sky, calling it a day in the warm peach red of sunrise. Now I'm going to wing it. All right. I think I'll do this one. These are, see, Tony, put this thing about new poems in the advertising, so I felt like I had to come up with something. Thanks, Tony. It helped. No, this is called It's All Over. Different mode. This is out by Medicine Lake, west of here. The lake, calm under the crescent moon. Even the wild geese, which earlier tore the glass apart, then stitched it back shut, have let go of their spring mating calls. A kind of honking similar to men in suits and ties complaining about the economy. The weeping willow, bending toward the clear water, fills itself with green. Each moment expands like the fattening buds. And all the crappies I caught under the sun, which had liberated itself from pure blue, were full of brilliant orange spawn. Any day now for the future. It's a good time to kiss off poetry. Everything that is imitation. It's a good time to appreciate being almost naked because this new season's heat demands so much. It's a good time now in this twilight to think about putting a line down tomorrow and waiting for a hug and a tug. While the sun again makes the back red, so much so it will peel later like the snake right again. That will be just fine. All right. So I've been working on a new movie called Honey, I Shrunk the Budget. But I won't. I made some threats about some other new stuff. I'm working on one called 1,000 Points of Blight, stuff like that. This one this just popped up the other day, and it's still on my note. This is for the spearfishing situation. It's good to spear a fish, spawning in shallow water in the spring lake. It is good to be so close to the point where no bait, no middleman dances. It is good that they have come in, those so often who live in the deep, to give themselves up. Those who say, spare a fish, spear an Indian, don't know the earth makes us all equal, that only one color exists, the red blood within. Again and again, who owns the fire? No one does, in all of us. Again and again, from which direction comes what makes the fruits and vegetables ripe? No one owns the earth in all of us. It is this direction to love. I think I'm going to stop right there.
Tonight's full moon, but it's a special full moon. This is the planting moon, or in the Dakota, it's Wojupiwi, the planting moon. 5 years ago tonight, I wrote the first draft of this poem. It's a spiral poem. It's a fertility poem. 3 days later, my wife told me that we're going to have a baby. So there were things working when I wrote this poem, and I didn't know it until the poem was on there. So this is for the planting moon. And the title is Beneath the Planting Moon. The planting moon wanes beyond Masabi. It's that time when the cedar begins its next twist. There, beside the father waters, have you followed the bark as it spirals to the highest boughs out of the root? Near Gichigumi, when the frost is not yet released, seeds and the unprepared man's semen float only to die in the cold taiga ponds. Copper, nickel, and gold condense beneath the Laurentian granite. Part 2. A teamster speeds through a desolate way station. He mocks the patrolman who's bored with all but his fingernails. I'm driving in a different direction. 4 times today, I've pushed my face into lakes. Steamboat, Half Moon, Rush Lake, and the Moosehead. 4 times on my belly, I've dipped my face into Earth's oily, wet flames. 3. Yesterday, the black Angus bellowed on the moist blue earth soil. His heavy neck hump shivered. His thoroughbred sexuality and the sound of his hooves bounced up, then off, then back against the shadowed ravine where the glacier stopped to melt 15,000 years ago. Last week, the black man with garden tools told me, be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. Number 4. Once in the Himalayas, I stood on a basaltic roof as the Sheti River galloped beneath me. That river fathers the bones of men. Men who can't afford a burial in stone, so they tumble to the low, slow Ganges, where the Sheti gushed from the mountain. A sadhu sat unspeaking. Only if all the bulls and all the stags, if every stallion and every ram, if every boar and every hound, if every man from all the ages would mount the earth and give it sperm, would the planting be its equal. 5. Now I smell the swamp woman. She sanctifies her place. She's a match for my fire, soil for my water. I hear the chant of my sires. To put a spark in pubis of woman, start a fire in the curling ram's horn. Water from a thunderstorm seeps into alluvial soil. The night becomes day, then night, then day. Impatience roars in my lower chakras, my center, my sex, and the ridge below my asshole. My cheeks have the smiles of my grandfathers. Our bodies slap a hip to a hip. My sperm tail turns in her crevice. It's over. My palms are wet. I sweat like a moose panting in the alders. We crawl together beneath an old virgin pine. We chew the needles and lick the trunk. The bark turns as brown as old cattails. 6. Hey, Gramps. You've given me a necklace of spruce and a turtle shell rattle. You've given me the rain to wash my balls. However I move, however I breathe, the roar of this living is naked. Our bones in flame. Now the breezes flush with sweets are bound for the lightless lands. The weather turns. The bee retreats. The humming in my heart expands. The sun stays low, like a bear or a spy. The nights fall brilliantly deep. Our souls are fires. The moon arcs high. Our bones in flames slay sleep. In great dark stew pots or blue ball jars, the abundance of mystery transforms the grape to wine, dusk to stars, to marriage this man of storms. I'm moving into the marriage time now. This one's not naked on the bed. Your beauty, nude, not naked on the bed, is far more a gift from thee than I ever expected. I watch languor recline in your wise gray eyes, while slate hummingbirds carved as earrings dangle from golden hooks. I quiver in your breath, and the ceiling fan halts in that instant. Only powerful magicians or humbly strong souls can look at one another with both eyes open and close. An intimate wind, the cause of the auroras, moves north and south, east and west. Then we swim in the ocean of one another. The rose opens. From a tight green bud, the pink rose opens, and finally, I feel the gold light it's hiding. How many ants have scurried over your body, trying to drink your rose water? You waited for me, the way an immense boulder peaks above the ground beside the path, where others go, hastily gathering common pebbles. Now, when I'm upon you, a deep flow of stone water rises to cool my skin. I touch through you the wellspring of abundance and the quiet concentric skies above the earth. The rare coin. I had to give this a title. I didn't have a title for that because when I read this for my sisters and my wife, they were kind of disappointed. I had to give them a cue. The rare coin. Side by side, we rest quietly on the old bed. Warm sun still shines through the window, and I wondered to myself, why am I marrying this woman? Obviously, we don't share the intellectual pursuits. We have no common family traditions, nor do we seem to want the same things. Her black, my red, my ivory, her turquoise, her furs, my bones, my trees, her tulips, her tools, my lumber, my verbs, her nouns, her silver, my gold. Oh, two sides of the rare coin. I put this poem on a computer terminal at work and thought I had erased it. And since I work for the bureaucracy of the state of Minnesota, it's a rather conservative-minded environment. And the most naive yet flirtatious young woman in the whole office found this by mistake and wanted to have me fired. She passed it on to her boss, who 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 passed it on to the top boss. Funny, nobody ever said a word to me. I got it through the grapevine that she had found it. It's called cocoonery. In the unstirred twilight, your tiger lily opens. My moth walks the delightful rim to your nectar. 6 feet set you quivering and enchant the mound of your dusky pearl forest. You used to say, I remind you of the sapling enlivened just before the bud's leaf. What need is there now for memory? You stretch your shoulders as if to awaken, but arch instead the vast garden of your hips. The eye of Eden opens to the beast. The white orchid is dewy. From the edge of the limb, an old caterpillar straightens and shivers its determined head until it enters the two-petaled place. Ah, warm, wet cocoonery.
That's dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
You getting that promotion, are you?
This one's the Caribbean, Creoles, and Marriage. I wrote this while we were on our honeymoon in Belize. And there's a word in here that I want to tell you. It's called Balam. And Balam are the spirits, the little people of the Mayan Indians. And they're protectors, tricksters, but they're in the spirit world. With my right hand on your left breast, I stretch my left hand to the Milky Way. 7 shooting stars fall into the ancient sea. Your mouth is a wet flower. Your left hand is the gentility of fine art. We've been to the temples where the old ones ruled. We've walked where the last priestess changed her children into Balaam. They steal local horses now to ride at night, and the Creoles hear the galloping. At morning time, the horse mouths froth, and their manes are braided in such intricate knots that the only way to loose them is with a knife. We're that way now in deep marriage. There are too many stars in the Caribbean sky, and too few centuries in which to identify them. So are the ways of our uniting. The reef's waves are infinite, and the coral fronds uncountably alive. Night and day our joys sway like rainbow fish in a school, darting toward the flash of sun. One more. We stayed at the Victoria House Hotel in Belize in the last 4 days. And it's a luxury hotel. It was a gift. And it was a nice place, but it was unlike the rest of Belize, which is hardly luxurious. But it was a good way to step closer to the North American values. At Victoria House. At Victoria House Deluxe Hotel, my maritime fears recede, then return, and my snow knowledge re-involves me. We were there in December. Whichever tree I see first back home, I will understand far better than these palms bursting against a dawn sky like nightmares arriving in a white room. Last night, my soul began its trip home when one star fell from Orion's wounded shoulder as he began his endless astral hunting. I'm not a Spaniard seeking Mayan gold, nor am I a narco runner in a Piper Cub lost in the tropical sky. I married you and came here to see the edge of our lives wash on the white beaches in waves of affection and excitement. Then we could return home in relief and appreciation. When we step up to our own house, on a walkway of bricks, which we've retrieved from the bottom of Lake Como in the drought year, where our gangly maple rises from a sinking lawn, among the royal oaks on Victoria Street, we will know that we live in the place of our own making. And that's where I'm living now. Thanks.